Last week, we talked about the difference between fireworks, what we've been conditioned to look for in a person before deciding whether we'll pursue them, and grounded clarity, which can sometimes be mistaken for boredom. But in fact, it's that grounded, calm, quiet sense of, there you are. That is the feeling that I want you to look for. And I know some of you were curious, what does that actually look like in real life? So today I'm doing something a little different. I briefly mentioned last week how it felt when I met my husband and I instantly just knew that I would marry him. So today I invited my beloved Steven onto the mic to share his side of the story. What his dating life looked like before we met, his experience with butterflies and fireworks, and what it was actually like when we got together. You'll get to hear the story of how we met from his perspective. We even unpack the concept of soulmates, which might be different than you'd expect. Today's episode is a casual conversation with no polished talking points. Just us, a real couple reflecting on how different true connection can feel when you're not chasing sparks, aka chaos. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's hear what grounded attraction looks like through Steven's lens. Throw out the rules, forget the cliches. This isn't about the perfect profile or the perfect date. It's about real connection. It's time to strip away the masks, shed the stories, and drop those old patterns that no longer serve you. Tired of dating advice that doesn't fit? So are we. Welcome to Stripped, Drop Your Patterns, where conscious dating isn't about following a script. It's about embracing your whole self and attracting the kind of love that sets your soul on fire. I'm Rachel J., the connection coach and your host. Let's get real. Hi, babe.
Hi. Hi, love. How are you?
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Steven, your husband.
I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, and I think that it will be very exciting for the listeners to hear a little bit from your perspective, because I have brought you up a lot, so I don't want you to be nervous. I'm a little nervous, but I don't want you to be nervous.
Well, now you just put all the nerves on me to say the right things.
No, there's no right things. Just paint me in a really good light.
I'll do my best. I'm not a good drawer.
Oh, God. I think the listeners are going to be excited to hear what you have to say and hear things from your perspective.
Let's sure hope so, but yeah, we'll speak the honest truth and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. So just to kind of catch you up, what we've been talking about the last couple weeks, it's the idea that we have been fed, pretty much our whole lives through various forms of media, even Disney movies, but like the pop culture with movies and TV shows and different dynamics, where we learned that meeting the person that we should invest a lot of time and energy should feel like that instant chemistry and excitement and a little bit of mystery. Not like, do they like me? Do they not like me? Right? Totally invested, but then silence and pulling away and like the games and all that stuff.
Okay.
Right? But oftentimes what we see in those kinds of stories is like this high, low, lows, dramatic sort of unfolding that's not necessarily healthy, but that's what we are then kind of conditioned to think we should be looking for. A prime example of this is like Sex and the City. And so this is a kind of a universal example, because even if people have never watched Sex and the City, they know the general arc of Carrie and Big. They meet on the street in I think it's the very first episode, and we're watching their story for the next 6 seasons, 2 movies, and a shitty spinoff that is basically this push and pull and really unhealthy dynamic that if we were to see our friend going through it, we'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is not healthy. But we root for them, even though we see that it's not healthy. And that also informs how we think it should feel like when we meet somebody who kind of lights our souls on fire. What I was going into a little bit deeper last week was that it actually shouldn't feel like that.
those dramatic high highs and the low lows when you meet somebody who's worth investing your heart and your energy into. So, for example, what I've shared with the audience is that when I met you, I didn't have that crazy, like, oh my God. Like, I've shared that I wrote after our first conversation that I met the person that I'm going to marry.
Right.
But that it wasn't that really jittery, buzzy, butterfly, dizzying, like intoxicating feeling.
No. Yeah.
It was just, I met the man I'm going to marry. Like, it was solid.
Yeah,
So
when you know, and there is no doubting, I would agree.
well, have you had experiences like with feeling that kind of like getting intensely attached to somebody very quickly and how that turned out for you?
Yeah, I've had those experiences in the past. I've had, before my previous marriage, I would go on dates with girls and young ladies, and that sounds weird, but excuse me for that.
That's okay. You're a Southern gentleman.
Yeah. But going on these dates, you would always think, you wouldn't think like, is this the person I'm going to marry? But you would have like the highs of like, oh, hey, it's great to meet you. It's great to meet you. And then the lows of, okay, what comes next? Dating is complicated. Dating is hard, especially for men. I mean, it was hard for me even after my first marriage, where I dated, a couple of women, and it didn't go the right way. We won't go into the details of why it didn't go the right way, but,
So you felt butterflies when you first met your first wife. There's a whole lot of other factors there why that didn't work out. But then fast forwarding to dating again, and can you repeat?
Yeah. So when I started dating again, one thing I told myself, and talking to my guy friends, was don't be afraid to reach out to people that you don't think you have a chance with. So I did that. There was maybe a couple of things where I felt good about.
How did you even approach dating? Were you on the apps? Were you trying to meet people IRL? Like, how were you meeting the people that you dated?
There was no
before me.
Yeah, there was no IRL. It was still COVID times.
True.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But also moving to a new city, and this city being the largest city, so there was a lot of many factors there. So I did it on the apps.
Okay.
I never did the...
And that was a new experience.
Yeah, it's totally new.
Because that didn't exist when you dated previously.
Yeah, it was all IRL, or somebody would set you up or whatever. There was none of that. So to say that I was scared of shit would probably be the most accurate statement of anything.
Today, I really want to keep coming back to this idea of like feeling grounded when you meet somebody versus feeling that butterfly feeling.
To talk about the butterflies, it was not butterflies. It was damn near sparrows or whatever in my stomach. It was much more than that.
A much stronger feeling.
Yes.
What was the feeling? A stronger feeling?
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is, what do I do? So I just started reaching out and, just shooting my shot, so to speak, just to see what would happen. And like I said, there was a couple of people that, I felt like may have been good matches, but they weren't. They turned out to be unsuccessful. But the butterflies were definitely there. And I never felt like I had a grounded feeling at all with either one of them.
Do you feel like you had a clearer awareness of what was important to you in finding a partner at this point versus when you were dating, pre-first marriage?
Yeah, I think I had an idea. But what you always have an idea of doesn't always work out in reality. And sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's not. Let's use you as an example.
Ooh. Well, how did we meet? Let's start there.
All right, so we met on an app. Well, it was named Hinge, which still exists.
Yeah, and I've shared that before.
Okay,
I've sung Hinge's praises.
Yeah, Hinge is great. And, my nightly routine was to scroll through and, I can't remember, was it a check mark or left or right or up, down?
Swipe. Swiping.
It was
Yeah, I don't remember if it's left
right,
or right, but I
left,
remember
right,
it's
left,
swiping.
right, up, down, A, B, start. Anyway, I came across your profile, and you were wearing what I thought was a gold dress, or was it green?
No, you thought it was green and it was gold.
Yeah, I thought it was a green dress, and I was like, "Oh, look at this lady in a green dress. She's real pretty." And then I came across a picture of you wearing a 49ers out jersey.
Who was it, babe?
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, that's right.
And I thought, okay, well, this is kind of 2 for 2. And so I just shot you a message, and it wasn't a, "Hey, what's up? How are you? What's going on?" type of message. It was something more about the 49ers than anything. And I was like, "Well, just see what happens." And I don't know if you replied that night or you replied the next day. I can't remember. You had
I think you had messaged me in the morning and I replied later that day, and then it was just nonstop from there.
Yeah, once you replied, it was just like, I can't stop talking to this woman. And it was just constant. And then at one point I got tired of typing, so I said, "Can I call you?" And
No, we didn't talk on the phone that first night.
well, no, I'm talking about later.
Oh, okay. All
Later.
right.
Yeah, we talked a lot just texting, and once I found out she was a green bubble,
Ugh.
not a blue bubble.
Okay, wow. We're getting into the weeds now.
Anyways, but yeah, we talked every night, every day, and it just felt like I've known you my whole life. There was no butterflies. And I think going back to your butterflies thing, I said when you know, but also when the conversation isn't strained. And it was just it was a fluid conversation, and there was no pulling of conversation like, "Well, what do you want to talk about now?" "Well, I don't know. What do you want to talk about now?" And there was none of that. It was always just something. Fast forward, eventually I got tired of typing because my hands are just old and decrepit, or whatever you want to call it. So I said,
We're not that old.
And whatever. So I said, "Can I call you?" And we talked on the phone, and we talked for hours and hours and hours.
And then that turned into FaceTime.
Turned into FaceTime, and then that turned into me traveling back from a trip early to get to meet you, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into the ooey gooey.
Okay, that's fine.
You can do that on your own.
So what I have shared previously is that with you, I felt something very quickly, and even just in one very specific photo on your profile, that I felt some kind of way. And I thought to myself, "Oh, he feels like home." And that in itself was a very grounding, calm, steady, safe feeling, rather than getting hyped up about, "Oh, this person said on their profile XYZ," or, "Oh, they have a picture, this gym photo, pumping iron," or whatever, like the superficial things that we tend to get caught up in, especially with online dating, where it's very visual first. And listen, babe, I don't want to give the wrong impression. This is a sexy man right here. But this one particular picture was not any kind of flex, but it was something that I connected to in his eyes that made me go, "Oh, he feels like home." And of course, I saw his message first, and then I looked at his profile. And what impressed me was that first message, again, was not, "Hey," or "Sup," or "You're pretty." It was, "Oh, Jerry Rice was my idol growing up." And it was like, "Oh, this is easy for me to engage with." And that started a very organic, easy-flowing conversation that went hours, and we covered a whole lot of topics, and it just felt, like you said, very natural and easy. And the next morning when I journaled, I wrote, "I met the man that I'm going to marry." I had never experienced that kind of a feeling before, of just feeling that sure and confident and clear. So yeah, for me, I think that I felt a little bit more grounded and sure earlier than you did. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
I think you were more excitable, maybe.
I was excited. Yeah, 100%. I think that it's all exciting until you meet the person in person. And then it can be exciting all it wants to be behind your phone or behind a computer or behind whatever. But until you meet the person in person, face to face, if there's no connection there, then it's not. You can't force.
Well, do you believe in soulmates?
That's a hard question.
Mm.
That's a very hard question. I think there's somebody out there for everybody. I think, yes, there are soulmates. However, you can build a relationship so that there is also a way of having soulmates, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's just say this. My parents.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to pull my mom's hair in grade school all the time, and he annoyed the living shit out of her. By the time they reached high school, they went on a date, they went on a prom, they got into college, and eventually they got married because they
fit together.
They fit together.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily soulmates, but they started that build that fitting together soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Do I believe in it? Sure, 100%. Do I believe that it can be built? Yes.
I like that idea of you can build it, because I don't believe in the idea of soulmates. Have we not ever talked about this?
No, I don't think we have. I think that you and I built it. I think that we came together when the universe was ready to bring us together. If we had seen each other when we were teenagers or even in college, we were not ready for each other.
Yeah, but I think that's more about who we were as people than the universe putting us together.
Oh, that's true too.
My stance on soulmates is that soulmates are not necessarily even a romantic connection, and we can have tons of soulmates. And
okay, fair.
It's just people that you feel a deep soul connection to, and it's not necessarily romantic, but it's people who are meant to be in our lives.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and you feel something that you can't even necessarily describe about that person, but there's a connection there that like goes beyond the physical of this lifetime. So I don't believe there's one person for everybody, but what I do believe is that when I found you, actually I think you found me, I experienced like a soul recognition where I truly just felt like something clicked. And what I say a lot on the podcast is it's like turning a radio dial, and until you land on the actual station, there's a lot of static and just noise, right?
Right.
But then when you land on the station, it just, all of a sudden, it's crystal clear. And so I think when I met you, that's what happened. I landed on the right station. The frequency was just right. Something clicked, and it was like, oh, my soul recognizes your soul. And so I do believe that you are a soulmate of mine, but I don't think it's like a one and done, you know, you're my soulmate and that means we're meant to be together forever. I do believe that about us, but I don't think of it in terms of like that more pop culture-y language of soulmate.
Okay, that makes sense. I just agree with you on that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't have much to say to that then.
Well, Stephen, my love, I'm so glad that you joined me today, and I'm just grateful for you in so many ways.
Aww.
And I'm grateful that you joined me. I was a little nervous about what you might say, but you did great.
Yeah, you know, that's glad that you invited me. I'm glad that I was able to, I don't know, maybe shed some light to help some others.
I appreciate how open you were, too.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so before you go, what's the best thing about being married to me?
Everything.
Oh.
Now, I think that, you know, I could say everything because it's true. But I think the one thing that the best thing about being married to you is your undying love for not only just me, but for us. And also the silliness that you bring and the love that is intertwined into the silliness, but just the undying love for the both of us and the appreciation you have for me. And also how you, I don't know, you allow me to be my true self. And also how much you love my kids. So I just appreciate us, and I appreciate how you love us.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're
That was very sweet. I feel like we need to balance that out a little bit and give the audience something that's less feeling like I paid you.
welcome.
So what's hard about being married to me?
Wow. I don't know. That's a hard question, Rach. I really don't know. Putting me on the spot.
Well, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I just felt like it's important, to say, because that was a beautiful declaration of love, but I'm not perfect. And I want it to be transparent that, like, we don't do everything perfectly, but I think part of finding somebody who you feel grounded and safe with early on, rather than starting off a relationship on that dynamic of ups and downs and pulling away and then coming back together and fighting and making up, and having a stronger foundation allows you to get through the harder stuff.
How about I say this? You ready?
I'm ready.
I'll answer that on a later podcast.
Wow, what does that mean?
Meaning I'll come back on your show anytime you ask me.
Meaning you want to have a whole episode dedicated to what's hard about being married to me?
No, I'll just answer the question at the end of the next episode. Gives me time to think.
No, it was meant to be rapid fire.
I don't know.
Wow. Okay, well, see, now that at least feels more honest. I mean, you can't even think of something that's hard about being married to me. What a lucky man. All right, for real, thank you, babe, for being very open about a lot of your past history with dating, and even sharing some of the context from your first marriage.
No problem, Rach.
Time to do errands.
Peace out.
Oh my. Well, I hope that conversation gave you a different lens on what attraction can feel like when it's not tangled up in nervous system activation, as well as a glimpse into who we are as people. Stephen's experience isn't unique, it's just honest, and I think that's what makes it so valuable. Because here's the thing. When you've spent years chasing butterflies or fireworks, calm can feel like it's missing something. But as you just heard, it's not missing anything. It's actually what makes space for everything else. Trust, presence, consistency, safety, depth, and playfulness. And that's the kind of connection that doesn't just feel good in the moment. It builds and it grows. It lasts. So if you've been dismissing the steady ones because they don't give you butterflies, I want you to ask yourself, what if those butterflies were never the signal that you thought they were? What if clarity, that quiet, grounded sense of, this feels right, is actually the green flag that you've been overlooking? That is the shift that I help my clients make, not just intellectually, but in their bodies, in their patterns, in the ways that they show up and choose. Are you ready to stop repeating the same cycles and start building the kind of connection that you actually want, not the kind you've been conditioned to chase? If so, let's talk. You can book a complimentary kickoff call with me to explore private coaching, or if you prefer to work at your own pace, keep an eye out for the official launch of my Magnetic Mastery Playbook. Simply sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss it. Now take a breath. Notice what shifted for you today. Is that something you'd like to experience in your own dating life? Until next time, you're listening to Stripped, Drop Your Patterns. I'm Rachel J., the Connection Coach. Thank you so much for being here, and an extra special thank you to my beloved for sharing his story with all of us. Bye for now.